Fentanyl poisoning is real, and it's destroying every community. It's destroying all kinds of families. It's leaving a lot of people without their kids. My name is Amy Neville, and I lost my 14-year-old son, Alexander Neville, on June 23rd, 2020, to fentanyl poisoning. Alex was a very passionate kid. He loved to learn things. The Civil War was his favorite period in history. He learned about it from a very early age, and we would have birthday parties. He would take friends to Civil War reenactments for a birthday party. That was his idea of a good time when he was in elementary school. He was always a Cub Scout. He started off in first grade as a Cub Scout, all the way through was a Boy Scout. He definitely was a skateboarder. He loved to skateboard. He loved to learn as much as he could about whatever subject he was passionate about, and he would carry that passion for a good year or two and educate everybody around him about it. He was a very caring brother to his sister, Eden. Sixth grade came around, and he first was interested in vaping, and so he got in with a new group of friends and had a lot of fun with them. And then the 7th grade came around, and this group of kids started smoking weed. Of course, it was big conversations about what it was doing to his brain. That was really the angle, the perspective that we took. He got in trouble a few times in 6th grade and lost his school of choice. And we appealed that, but we lost the appeal. And that was really the turning point. Up until 7th grade, Alex had never been in trouble at school. He was always loved by his teachers, always, even up until he passed. It was like, he's always so nice and polite, and like, how can this happen? It's hard to understand when a kid that you perceive as a good kid is gone from something like this. But it affects everybody. It's not just good kids, bad kids, neglected kids. It's everybody. But on June 21st, late in the evening, he did come to us, and he's like, I gotta talk to you guys, and sat us down at the kitchen table and proceeded to tell us how he had been taking pills over the course of that week to 10 days and how the pills had really gotten a hold of him, and he didn't understand why, because again, he's a researcher. The stuff that he looked up on it, the things that he learned about taking opioids shouldn't have taken a hold of him so fast. So this was the night of June 21st, and he told us how he wanted to go back to his old friends, that this wasn't making him happy, and that he needed help. And he wanted to go back to the treatment center he had gone to in the spring, and he was ready. And it was like this miracle moment for myself and his father, like, he's coming to us. He wants to do this rather than when we made him go. He was ready to make some change. In the morning, I went to his room to wake him up. I knocked on his door. As soon as I touched his door, I knew something was wrong. There was no energy there. It was like a weird feeling. I knocked on the door, and he didn't respond.
911, what's your emergency?
Alex had taken one pill that he thought was an OxyContin. One pill. I had no idea at the time that one pill would kill him. I just didn't we didn't even think it was, when Alex was telling us about the pills, first of all, I was just listening to him, because as soon as we started to ask any kind of questions, he would back away and kind of shut down, and I wanted to hear everything he had to say that night. And we had, I just kind of assumed it was like the old days but we were taught in our drug prevention programs in school that somebody stole this prescription and now they're selling it. But that wasn't the case. Alexander ordered an illegally manufactured pill right off of social media. It may have been delivered to our home, he may have met up with him, but it was easy as ordering a pizza. It's not starting with prescription pills anymore, it's pills right off the streets, and those pills on the streets are fentanyl. Fentanyl took his life. Alex didn't want to die, and he was very clear about that on June 21st. He didn't know it was fentanyl. I didn't know it was fentanyl. I had never even really heard of it until this happened. He had enough fentanyl in his system to kill 3 people from one pill. Some people might look at this and say it's an overdose death, but to me, it's fentanyl poisoning. Alexander was not an addict in the traditional sense. Alexander was in this experimental phase. And this experimental phase is killing a lot of our kids right now. The reality is fentanyl isn't any pill. Any illicit pill that you purchase is fentanyl. It is not OxyContin, it is not Percocet, it is not a Xanax. It is fentanyl, and that is something that needs to get drilled into everybody. It's just way too easy for them to get these things. And yes, we need to talk to our kids, but it's more than that. It's keeping tabs on them. It's checking out their room. It's, we want to give them, it's hard because we want to give them their privacy, but at the same time, we want to be in their business. So I think it's probably different family by family. Of course, I can look back at the situation and think of 1,000 things we could have done differently for Alex. But right now, I can only help other families from going through this.
This is the danger of fentanyl. It is deadly, and it has no place in our community. Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal, and just as you've heard in Amy's story, it is extremely accessible. As law enforcement, we are working hard every day to pull fentanyl off our streets. But we need the community's help to prevent this drug from making its way into the hands of our children. That starts with education. Talk to your children early and often about the dangers of opioids and the dangers of experimenting with any kind of drug. In many cases, fentanyl is sold in a counterfeit form, causing accidental overdoses like what happened with young Alex. We don't want to see another family devastated by the effects of opioids. Educate yourself and then talk to other parents about what you have learned. Get in your kids' stuff, and if you see something concerning, address it immediately. Join us in the fight against fentanyl and help us keep our community and our children safe.